Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. Fireside Collective on new drummer.
Can I go around the horn with you guys and ask you about adding the drummer? Do you feel that it changes how you approach playing the music?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, because the way that obviously we have like a lot of tunes that are just like they the arrangements are how they are, but for the most part, like when we get out there, it's a very reactive. Like I'm listening to what Jesse's playing that night, not what I think Jesse's about to play. You know what I mean? Like we jam. So when you add the drums in, it's just like I'm just listening to what he's playing now too. You know what I mean? It's in the mix now. So that's gonna affect what I play and what everybody else plays. So yeah, man, we're kind of figuring it out.
Yeah, we'll figure out. It kind of happened at a nice time too with when Banjo left, we had a couple things that needed to shift anyway.
Right.
Like who's going to take this intro now that the banjo usually took, or who's going to take this jam or this solo in this song. And so like as we were figuring that out, we were also starting to integrate drums. And so it kind of gave us a chance to we joke around about like deconstructed food items all the time because it's kind of like deconstructed and then reconstructed. That's kind of what we're doing with our music right now. We're like deconstructing it, looking at the elements, and then reconstructing it, and that's kind of like a jam band way to look at things as well. It's like, the Dead was always updating their sound, and they were always like from 65 to 95. Even today, like the offshoots of the Grateful Dead are still growing in their sound. But like you go from like full experimental acid rock to like big stadium, jam band, I guess, that like set the stage for bands like Dave Matthews and Fish. Like that spirit is always a part of that music. And so I feel like the drums it has been very natural. There are definitely spots where we're like, oh shit, we need to like look even closer at this. Like how does this groove work with what we've been playing? And it's been fun for the most part. It's really been cool to like look at the songs and the drums and getting them in there. And for the most part, it really just gives a whole new like presentation to the songs without taking anything away from them.
No. What about the bass? Because bass and drums go hand in hand, right?
Oh yeah. Whole reason I started playing bass was locking in with a drummer. It's the most fun thing ever.
All right, so this is going to be great for you.
Yeah,
I love it.
He's definitely finding his true form right now. It's funny because like we played in college together in jam bands and stuff, and Carson is like a drummer's bass player. Like he's really good at locking in with drums and like finding that space. And then he joins a bluegrass band, and he's like, "How did I get here?"
Start over here.
And his family, actually, his dad in the 60s played upright bass. And so there was an heirloom family bass just sitting in the house. And so we talked to Carson's mom, and she ended up getting it fixed up and gave it to him for Christmas early on in this band's career. So he started playing upright for maybe 2015 through this past summer.
By the time Joe was fully in the band, I was playing upright full time in the band. Yeah. 2015, I don't know.
And then he pulled out the electric bass back in, was that June?
July.
May or June or July. We did a run to the beach, and we were like, just looking for ways. This was before we knew Banjo was leaving, but we were just looking for ways to make our sound more unique. And Carson's been playing electric since 13? And then upright, he kind of picked up during this band. But on that tour, bringing the electric bass, he just like fit into the music even better. He was already a great upright player, but bringing in his prior knowledge to electric bass, it really opened up our jams. And so he switched to electric bass this past summer before we knew banjo was leaving. And it just felt like everything just felt so natural moving towards, he's on E-bass now. We might as well bring in drums.
More rock and roll sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask about that. Some of my favorite jamgrass bands have bassists that will switch, depending on what's going on. And I'm curious what makes that distinction for you. Maybe it's just certain songs have that particular sound you're going for. Do you ever switch it up on stage kind of where you're not expecting to, but you just feel called to do that? Because it brings such a different element depending on what you're using.
The goal is for me to probably have both basses one day on stage, and we're playing big enough stages to where I can bring both and have one sitting behind me. But for now, I'm just going with the E-bass. But one day we'll have, hopefully a bigger crew that can carry all my basses around.
I always have a lot of respect. That is a massive undertaking, especially for that. For sure.
The upright bass with bluegrass songs, and if we play a funk song, switch off to electric bass. I'm thinking about that always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. I was thinking about Railroad's newer bassist Dave Speranza. They don't really do funk necessarily. They're kind of similar in their style, more or less. But when he switches off and on, it's always a kind of a cool sound change for the audience too. Even if the song style may be somewhat similar, it just brings a whole new tone, to everything, of course. So very cool.
You had mentioned, we talked about Lincoln Center, we talked about New Year's, but you guys are playing with Airshow, who is a friend of the pod. We've had them on it was like a year ago.
It was a while back, yeah.
And you guys are doing a run of 6-7 shows with them, maybe a little more?
Yeah, maybe 9, I think.
9,
I think it's
maybe?
4th that we get a day off, and then 5. Yeah. I'm super stoked about that, especially with our first tour with drums. We're going to play with another kind of like fusion band with drums and acoustic instruments. My brother-in-law is really good friends with them. My brother-in-law is a tie-dye artist, huge Widespread Panic fan. Had always, when we first met, he was always talking about his buddies and Airshow. And I think the first night we met Airshow, we played 30 Grateful Dead songs around a fire. And we've been talking about going on tour with them ever since. And, touring with other bands is always weird when one band has drums and one band doesn't, and so prior to this tour, I was trying to figure out where we could go on tour with them and have the drums. And when we didn't have drums, I was maybe we should only tour with acoustic acts. I don't know. You never know how it's going to sound in the audience. But now that we have drums and we were looking for an opener, somebody mentioned Airshow, and we were like, yeah, that's perfect. I mean, they're I know Steve and Cody are from Pennsylvania, near where Joe grew up. Yeah. And so the Northeast is definitely a place for them. And, similar styles of music. I think it's going to be a really fun tour.
Any thoughts of cross-pollination, big jam encore, that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There will be a lot of that. We're definitely, on that Kitchen Dwellers tour, we started to open up a lot. And they had us up every night. They had a couple different members up. And we had torn out a bunch, especially because he plays banjo and our banjo player wasn't around. But we've really been trying to embrace the collective side of Fireside Collective. And like we were talking about earlier, the chance to bring a fiddle player on for a run or a banjo player. We played in Nashville a couple weeks ago, and our former banjo player, I guess, came out and played the entire show with us, and it was awesome. And he already knew the songs because he played with us for years. Yeah, and so like, you know, we've played a lot with Allie Crawl, who played with Yonder for a while, and she's talked about going on some runs with us. You know, we've definitely, that's going to be a part of our journey, is having artists, guest artists, and when we play with other bands, sit-ins and trying to fit those in. And I'm sure we'll have some good fire show jams. Air
Collective.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.